Hello, 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 and welcome to your members only stream. As always, you are joined by me, Andy, FPL Mode, and we are also joined by somebody who's decided to be in the top 4 million in overall rank, which I know we're not used to on the members only stream. We're joined by Pras. How's it going, Pras?
It's going very well. It's such a pleasure to fill the boots of the FPL legend. I mean, I won't be filling his boots. All I'll be doing is substituting.
Yeah, exactly. But we've got a little bit of a familiar feel here, haven't we? Because we obviously did a lot of the preseason content together.
It was so fun, man. 30 minutes, quick and snappy, what's happening, and we were so prepared for game week 1 doing that.
We were. It's brilliant. Yeah, it does feel a bit weird actually because we haven't done anything together since, have we? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so I think last year I went on Burning Questions. We might have done a few other things together, whereas this time we've literally like been on hiatus. But it's good to be back.
Definitely good to be back.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a little bit of a chat tonight. We're gonna have a chat about Manchester United for some reason, maybe a little bit of Leeds. Might talk about Arsenal. Might talk about Man City for some reason, due to obviously their double game weeks that are coming up very soon. One of them starting tomorrow. And then we're going to look at our teams and answer some community questions as well. So, straight away then, Praz, we're looking at this week. Obviously, Manchester United and Leeds both have double game weeks. Manchester United looks a little bit better than Leeds, you would say. Are you on a triple up? Are you on a triple captain? Talk to us.
Both, yes, both, yes.
Yes.
I mean, look, we're both Man United fans, so we're going to try to dial down the fan bias.
Mhm.
But what I'll say is, look, Bruno is the least essential of all the whole euphoria on Man United. I think Shaw, now that he's back from last night's game, on set pieces, I would say almost essential. Rashford, if you don't have him, essential. And then you get to the whole Bruno debate on whether he's essential or not. And for many people, they're looking at downgrades of the second or third premium to get to him, which is fine. But for others, they just can't do it because of various reasons. I don't think it's such an, you're not going to miss out on 19 points again. He's not the Bruno of 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because I know on Scoutcast on a Monday I was saying that if you really can't get to Bruno, it feels fine to get a defender in this week. Someone like Lissandro Martinez, for instance, that double up in defence. Actually, if we're looking at maybe getting 8 points, if we're being realistic, maybe they keep one clean sheet rather than two.
Yeah.
8 points feels fine covering Bruno if you haven't taken a hit to get to Bruno.
Correct. And especially if you get to then keep another Man City player or Kane, for example, I think it's doable. But for other teams, you can look at it as this is my chance. Some people can't get to Bruno. I'm going to get
Mhm.
2 games, 90 minutes times two, possibly on penalties. So why wouldn't I go there? So that's basically my position as well. So because I can get to him, I'm going to get to him.
Do you think that is the three? I'm struggling for any other attackers that I would really want, to be honest. I think Martial and Weghorst probably share a game. I think
Correct.
share both games. I think Anthony, now that Sancho's back, I think that's risky as well because Sancho looked okay, didn't he,
Yeah.
when he played. Garnacho's obviously there. Rashford's, what we're all going to be going for. Ericsson's out now. It's a really tough to pick that other attacker. Whereas defense, it seems a bit easier with Martinez or De Gea if you were to go there as well.
Absolutely. I think people are not considering De Gea as much as I'd thought because you can actually get De Gea as your second keeper. Let's say if you have Kepa, you
Hmm.
get De Gea as your second keeper. It solves the blank problem as well because you're not actually using up a position in your first 14 or 13 outfielders.
Yeah.
You just get De Gea and get the double, and then you get Kepa back. So it's an option. But I agree with you. In attack, you don't have a lot. Even though I think Anthony will start both the games, his
Hmm.
minutes will be taken away. And then there is Casemiro, man. I mean, the guy keeps
God.
getting attacking returns, and then content creators are like, "How can I recommend a DM?" I
Yeah,
think we
I
can't.
know. I- if you could get to Casemiro for no hit, or you could get to Bruno for a -4, you go Bruno for a -4, wouldn't you?
It's a tough one because Bruno's going to blank, and you're going to take him out as well. I would
Hmm.
just then go straight to Odegaard
Would
instead of
you?
just wasting
Mm.
time on Casemiro and then Odegaard. Save that one transfer. So it's a
Yeah.
little bit team dependent, complicated. I just don't think Casemiro is a pick. You just get your third Arsenal or your third, City, and
Yeah.
don't take a hit.
So if you if you really wanted to get your three United though, would you go Casemiro over Lissandro Martinez, for instance, or would you still get Casemiro?
Oh, sorry. I think you
That's
cut
all right.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So if you if you could get Casemiro and you really wanted to get 3, would you go Casemiro or would you go Lissandro Martinez instead?
Martinez, any day.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I,
You get that 8 points, like you mentioned.
I struggle to see a world where I would pick Casemiro because next week I'd look at him and go, well, I'm not going to play him now, am I? Whereas
Yeah.
Martinez, at least sometime in the future, you think, yeah, I'll play him this week. Whereas I don't think I'd ever have that with Casemiro.
And now he's going to
Speak,
double return, isn't he?
yeah, exactly. I mean, speaking of players that you might never want to play again, Leeds also have a double game week this week. Is it as easy as saying, I mean, obviously Rodrigo looks like he could be out now. All those rumours that we were hearing look like
Yeah.
they actually have some foundations there and it could be out for a little while. Does that make somebody come into our radars that was flying under it a lot in Bamford? Do you think Bamford could be a little bit of a shout?
Can he survive well, even 60 times 2? I just don't know. I mean, the guy's had so many setbacks, and now to expect 2 starts, and within the 2 starts to expect 60 to 90 minutes in each, it's a punt. So if somebody really wanted to be punty, but again, I would say just go Nketiah. Why would you bother with taking 120 minutes? Take 90 minutes from Nketiah. So it's the same logic. You're just going for a doubler for the sake of it. Now, on the other hand, a Nonto, I think most Leeds fans think that he will start both games, may even benefit because he could play just behind Bamford or play off the left. So he does 2 things. Number one, he gets you 2 games this week, obviously, because he's a doubler. But then he enables you a 5-man midfield, which is all the rage right now, right? So he gets you that, he lets you position your funds in a way that is more optimal. And then the other thing is he will play game week 25 if he's still in the team. And Leeds might play game week 28 because if they lose to Fulham, and if Fulham make it through with Sunderland, then he will also play game week 28. So it's not the worst shout if you go for Nonto. But the other problem is, so Simon and others on Twitter think that Leeds are shifting to a 4-3-3. If they're shifting to a 4-3-3 with the new signing, then there is only 3 slots for 8 attackers or 7 attackers. So it makes it even harder for Nonto.
Yeah. The big thing that I've really struggled with Nonto is which one of my strikers to downgrade, because I've got 3 at the moment. So I've got Haaland, obviously he's going nowhere. I've got Tony, who represents good value and is a bit of a differential, although he's only 20%, but that just shows how big the template is. And then I've got Mitrovic, who's got Nottingham Forest the week after. I'm really struggling to pick who to get rid of because Nonto, yes, obviously you're downgrading him and then you can get one of those midfielders to turn into 3-5-2, but I'd be losing Tony or Mitrovic, who are both on pens. Mitrovic on pens obviously is a bit different to Tony on pens, but you get my idea. And it feels tough picking which one to get rid of. I guess Tony could be easier because he's got the blank in 25, whereas Nonto doesn't. But there's a bit of a dilemma there for me, if that makes sense. I did think about it, but yeah, it's tough.
I mean, unless he enabled something for you by the Tony downgrade, will it maybe enables like an Odegaard for Andreas Pereira, if that's your team structure, then yeah, I can see it. But otherwise, you're just sort of just doing the move. And as I said, Tony could score in 90 minutes what Nonto scores in 180 minutes.
Yeah. This is the week to do it, though, isn't it? You'd want to do it this week where you get Nonto for his 2 games, as opposed to doing it next week where you only get the 1 game. This would be the week to do it because you never know. I just don't expect much from Leeds in this double game week, though. Away to Forest is tough, I would say. And away to United, I don't expect much either. So we would be just doing it mainly thinking about that restructure of your team, wouldn't you?
It feels like a trap. I agree with you. I mean, people are benching Kane to play Nonto this week. They are. And I've advised people to do the same. Not out of spite, only because, double game week. But yeah, at that territory, it does feel like unless you're enabling something, then, just avoid Nonto.
So how far do you go then? So you wouldn't bench Kane for Nonto?
No.
Would you bench, because I've seen someone doing this, would you bench Mahrez for Nonto?
No, not at all.
No. So would you bench Tony for Nonto? Or Mitrovic?
Mitrovic, I can see. Mitrovic, I can see. That if you wanted to bench Mitrovic and play Nonto, I think that is still palatable because he's away to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Even though he does well against tougher teams, but it sits okay with me. But Kane is basically borderline. He's playing Man City, but they're at home. And people are then also benching Edison this week or Ake. So what are you expecting? Like Kane to score or not? So, yeah.
Some benches are going to be mental this week, I reckon. Moving on to the week after, then, obviously, because we do have to think, and you've already, stated there, you don't have to go all in on this double game week, considering the fact that the two best teams in game week 23, best teams in terms of the table and XG conceded, all that kind of stuff at the moment, are then obviously got a double game week the week after, but they do play each other. Now, I asked this question of Seb and Rich on Scoutcast. If you were to choose a double game week to attack more, would you be picking game week 22 or game week 23? For instance, if you had 2 free transfers, would you be using them both on this one, or would you be using them both on the next one? That's completely team dependent, but which one in your head do you think this one feels like more of a one to attack than the other one?
There's 2 answers to the question, so sorry about that. So you
That's
can
fine.
attack this game week more because the upside is more because it's 2 easy games. However, if you're not looking to just attack the double game week, but looking at it in terms of which transfers do I need to make that sets me up better long term, then the answer is game week 23, because you want City and Arsenal assets going forward. They don't blank in game week 25. You overcommit on Man United now, you're giving yourself a headache later. So for that reason, my answer would be attack the 2 best teams.
Yeah. It's interesting though, isn't it? Because Arsenal seems so easy to pick assets from Arsenal. Like, it really, really is. Defence settled, apart from White, it's turning into a little bit of a rotation risk. Midfield, you've got Odegaard, you've got Martinelli. I know Martinelli's been up and down, but he's still a great asset. And Saka. And you've got Nketiah up top. Lovely. You've got so many to pick from. Sport for choice. City, I really struggle still in terms of, if I was to invest in another City player, I don't know who I'd invest in. You've got KDB and Haaland. They seem pretty easy to pick. I've got Stones at the moment, which was obviously a shame. Worked at the time, but obviously got injured. Who would be your third Man City player for that double, and then moving forward if you had to pick one?
If you're picking one for moving forward as well, then probably Ake, because he gives that stability and he seems to be most nailed out of that defense, especially after Cancelo's gone. But if you're looking for that upside in a double game week and then maybe be more creative with that slot later, that's Mahrez, because Mahrez gives you that what we all expected Foden to give, which is a little bit of nailedness, and you can only be a little bit nailed in Pep's system, not more than that. So it's only Bernardo Silva who's playing on that side. So you get that with Mahrez, you get the double game week. He should play given the rest that they're having out of the Carabao Cup, out of there's no FA Cup replay. So he should play both games. And then after that, you deal with it. There's a lot of options in midfield, like Mudryk could become an option, or you could go for Gakpo if Liverpool get a double. So I just feel like that's a slot that I can be more creative in. So therefore, I probably, my move will be go for Bruno this week and then turn Bruno into Mahrez the week after.
Yeah. I love the term "a little bit nailed." I like that. Okay, so a little bit more on Arsenal. I said there's their sport for choice. Because we're sport for choice, is there a optimum 3 that you can pick? And if you are on one of those Arsenal players that is not in that optimal 3, do you make a move? Because I've got Martinelli, and as I've said, he's still a really good pick. But if you've got 2 free transfers, you've got 3 United already, and you've got 3 City and 2 Arsenal, whatever it is, do you make that sideways move? Do you go from Martinelli to Odegaard or Saka?
First, to say that Martinelli is fine. There's nothing wrong with Martinelli. I think a loss of a few minutes will basically drop some expected points. So I think it's overhyped in terms of Martinelli being an issue. Second, I would say it's an ultra luxury move. So I do think in my ranking, Martinelli is number 4, if I was to rank Nketiah, Odegaard, and Saka. So he is number 4. So therefore, there is upside to move, but it's ultra luxury. So if you literally had nothing to do, you were burning transfers and you had some money left, then Odegaard makes sense, or even a Saka makes sense. But I think for now, to panic about it and that affecting your moves, I don't think so. So some people, for example, I saw are looking at Martinelli to Bruno Fernandes, for example, by a downgrade to Kane, and then going back down to a Saka. Yeah. So I think that works because you're trying to be creative with the slot and they're also maneuvering your Martinelli slot. But a sideways, just trying to solve Martinelli, I don't think anyone needs to do that.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And is it Saka, Odegaard, and Nketiah for you? Or
yeah.
I feel like Nketiah's being slept on so much. Like, his stats are fantastic, aren't they?
Yeah. And I love the fact that Jesus has put this story on his Instagram that he's standing on grass, like literally. It was out yesterday. Yeah.
Mm,
So it's literally saying that I'm now wearing football boots and I'm standing on grass. That's what it is. But obviously, there is now a hype that he's going to be back imminently. He did this interview. Do you remember after the Man United game, I think, where he said, "Oh, I'm going to be back very soon." And then they asked
mm,
Arteta, "Is he back soon?" Arteta said, he needs to calm down. We
yeah,
will take our time. It was a major injury. So
yeah,
let's listen to what Arteta says tomorrow. But my thinking is still we're not thinking about Jesus until game week 25, 26, even beyond, maybe. So
yeah,
if that's the case, take your points. Take your points with Nketiah and then deal with it later. It's almost like a player on a yellow card. Don't worry about what will happen. Take your points now. We know he's
yeah.
going to play the double. He's playing Everton this week. If you can get to Nketiah, I think he's great.
Yeah, I think I mean I'll bring my team up now because I know I've mentioned it a few times already. So at the moment, this is my team. I got Kepa in goal, Trippier, White, Shaw. I think that's going to be a very template back three this week. Then I got Rashford, who will be my triple captain. Martinelli, Almiron, and De Bruyne. Almiron will be Bruno, so I've got 5.2 in the bank. So I'm going to do Almiron
Oh,
up to Bruno, and then I've got Tony, Haaland, and Mitrovic. Thing is, like I'm looking at someone like Mitrovic, he could easily score in that, tomorrow
of
night, couldn't
course.
he? And I've got Kepa in goal, so if he doesn't score, it's more than likely that Kepa keeps a clean sheet. So it's not awful there. I know Joe
Right.
used to hate it when I had players playing against each other, but it is what it is sometimes. I think I was looking at it quite a bit. I love the fact I'm still going to have De Bruyne because I think De Bruyne could do well against Spurs anyway, and I know a lot of people are moving from De Bruyne to Bruno, so I like the fact that I've still got him. But I think I didn't mind the fixture of keeping Bruno for another week, but I think I'm probably then going to do Bruno to Saka the week after because it frees up 2 million. I've then got Saka, who is the player I want from Arsenal for that double game week. Stones won't be back, but going in with 5 feels okay. I could do a -4 and take Stones out and bring somebody else in, but the rest of them have quite nice fixtures anyway, so I don't think that's too bad. I I think if I did anything else, I think I'd be overcomplicating this week. I think Almiron de Bruno just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think that's the sensible move. And we'll come to my team later, but I think you're losing a blanker. So Almiron will blank in
Hmm.
game week 25. You're getting Bruno, but then you're solving Bruno as well next week to get Saka. So you will
Yeah,
end up at the end of game week 23 with 3 City, 3 Arsenal, and only 2 Man United, and also losing an Arsenal a Newcastle in the process. So I think it's a good place to be. The only thing I have is you will not have a third city as such. So you won't have a
no,
Mahrez or an Ake. So you might think about taking a hit maybe next week for Stones to Ake, but then you'll have to bench one of Shaw or White.
yeah,
So that's something you deal with next week. Maybe Shaw is even back. So I
yeah.
think that's a good plan.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I'm only going to be playing 3 at the back anyway. It's whether, yeah, I'm only going to be playing 3 at the back. I'll play Shaw because he's got Leeds away, hasn't he? And White's obviously got the double, and I won't be benching Trippier. So I think that's fine. I think, like I said, any other kind of moves, I'm going to be giving myself a benching headache anyway.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's fine. Eventually, I think one of Mitrovic or Tony will go down, and then I'll reinvest that in midfield. But you know, my worry is I've got players like Stones and Patterson. All of a sudden, Andreas Pereira is first on my bench, and he's my only player that can come in. So,
Right.
but we'll see. I mean, the rest of those players are as nailed as you can get. You would have thought. So, if I were to have to go too deep on my bench, I think I would have had a pretty unlucky game week. But we'll see.
Absolutely.
Yeah, triple captain Rashford. Were you tempted at all? I was shocked with Rich and Seb on Scoutcast. They said they would not be going for triple captain Rashford this week. They'd be going for Haaland next week. I don't see that. These fixtures, I just don't think you could ignore them.
Ask them again because on review now Rashford has more expected points than Haaland
Hey.
next week. So ask them again. What I would say is, um, I was obviously you debate, right? I mean, going against Haaland, you're not actively going against, but you have a choice. You have a
Yeah,
choice to root for this meat shield, this Norwegian meat shield in a double game week. It just feels nice, right? I mean, you have this guy that you cannot usually you never cheer for because you don't care he's 200% EO. So you could have a week like that where you could cheer for him twice. But I just feel like the fixtures have fallen in a way. So I'll explain my thinking. I was almost triple captaining Haaland in game week 20.
hmm,
I was going to the game and basically I thought, okay, if I'm going to the game, I cannot cheer for Haaland against Man United. So I ended up not doing it, even though I felt that Haaland in 20 was way better than Haaland in 23 because of the Arsenal fixture.
hmm,
And at the back of my mind, I thought maybe there's a chance that if I delay it, maybe the Man United fixture comes and then we get this double. it has come. So the whole point of me saving the triple captainship was this week. So it's a little bit of a psychological point, but it does play into my mind. And then the second thing is you take what you get now. You know that Rashford is
Yeah.
rested. He's played limited minutes over the last couple of weeks. He didn't start yesterday. He's going to play 80, 90 minutes in both games, maybe 70, 90. I'm being a little bit optimistic. He's so, he's involved in everything. Got 2 returns in 10 minutes that he was on yesterday. I'm expecting a couple of returns, 1 clean sheet point. You're happy with 10 to 15 points.
And United are so good at home as well. They really are. Their record at home is very, very good. And also, there's that little thing for me that's always been there with the fact he's a midfielder. And,
Yeah.
Haaland can get 2 goals. Rashford gets a goal and assist, and he's outscoring him. And it's that little bit of me. I think I've triple captained Kane once, but apart from that, it's always been Salah, Alexis Sanchez, Hazard. Like, it's been those midfielders because it always feels that a little bit better as well. Not obviously you've got to think about what they're actually going to do as well. You wouldn't just go for a midfielder anyway. But yeah, I mean I haven't thought twice about it. I've been quite happy about it. I think the Haaland game next week against Arsenal really. I don't expect that game to be high scoring. I expect them to. I'm expecting 0-0, but it's whether he could do it against Villa. But I don't know. I think Rashford. This is the opportunity. I think.
You're thinking, let's say Rashford scores 12 points and Haaland goes out and scores 17.
Yeah.
It's a 5-point loss. It's not the end of the world. That's basically Mitrovic scoring that useless penalty. So, it's not the end of the world. People over analyze the triple captainship. I can also give another scenario where, let's say, Haaland has a little niggle against Spurs, and then now you're stuck holding this triple captainship, saying, now I can't triple captain Haaland. What do I need to do? I don't want to carry it over into these other doubles where I have other chips to play. What do I do now?
Yeah.
I see the double game week. I see a fit Rashford, and I just go for it. That's my thinking.
Yeah. Oh, he'll be even fitter if he hauls for us on triple
Oh,
captain.
absolutely. 20 points. Who are we kidding?
I'll have a new profile picture by the end of the week. Right, let's have a look at your team then, because you actually have the triple captain active. Love it. So talk us through your team. It is very similar to my own.
It is indeed. So I've got Kepa in goal. I have White, Shaw, and Trippier. So exact same backline. Then I have Saka already in place, who I've been very happy with since the restart. I've got De Bruyne, Rashford, triple captain. At the moment, it's Almiron, who's going to become Bruno Fernandes. I've got Mitrovic, Haaland, and Kane. And so Kane will become Nketiah. So it's a little bit of a look. I don't want to lose Kane. I think Kane will do very well after this Man City fixture, maybe even in this fixture. He's got good fixtures. Even game week 25, he has a game. I have to fund Bruno somehow. And it's not just Bruno. I have to fund a third Man City as well, because that's what I'm lacking. I already have 2 Arsenal and 2 City. So the way I'm doing it is Nketiah gives me that third Arsenal. So I'm ready for that double. And then going Bruno and then taking Bruno to Mahrez next week, then also removes a blanker. So that's the thinking. I will end up after game week 23 with 3 City, who I would ideally have. These would be my ideal 3, which is Mahrez, KDB, and Haaland. I would have 3 Arsenal, which is Nketiah and Saka, who are in my top 3, and then Ben White, who's okay. So that's a good position to be in. And after that, I don't really have any pressure in terms of the team. I have already 9 players or 10 players who will play game week 25. So it's decent.
Yeah, it's lovely. You must have some major funds compared to me. You think you've got Kane instead of Tony and Saka instead of Martinelli. You're doing okay. Obviously, you've got Mings instead of Stones, but I don't think that's
it. That's it.
yeah.
My Mings pick from 2 weeks ago.
Your Mings. I remember because obviously every now and again we message, don't we, on Twitter? And
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to you about who to get, and you said you were going Mings, and I was close, but I didn't do it in the end. But I did in one of my other teams on like fan team, whatever, and I did it, and it felt all right to be fair. But I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. And it's that forward planning, because when you're in that blank game week and you've got Mings that can play, everybody else is going to be scrambling, aren't they?
Absolutely. They were looking at, now people are looking at Moreno, because Aston Villa and Everton are the only 2 teams who are guaranteed games in 25, 28 and 32. So yeah, the geek in me wanted to get that defender who everybody will get. And the other thing was, people are benching Ake, people are benching other Man City Edisons this week. So my thinking was, why am I getting any other defender? Because I will play Shaw, White, and Trippier pretty much every week. So I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to get this defender who I will need later.
Yeah, fair enough. Very, very quickly before we go on to the questions, by the way, I tweeted a couple of days ago saying, are people really getting Mitoma with that blank in mind? and it got loads of hate. But the way I see it, like I watched Black Box, and I laughed a little bit because Az and Gianni both said, no, we're going to get Matoma, ride the wave. He's absolutely brilliant at the moment. And then they looked at the game week 25 and they were going, yeah, we'll probably have to free hit in game week 25. And I was thinking, exactly, like this is the thing. Like, don't get me wrong, I just can't help but ignore him because of that blank. And it could be wrong, but I just don't think I can do that and leave myself in such trouble in game week 25.
Yeah, I have the same opinion. I think he's going to do well in the next three fixtures. And again, we mentioned this on our burning questions yesterday that Brighton are very likely to get a double in 26 or 27 as well. So people who have Mitoma not only will ride the wave in terms of some points now, will probably get that double after game week 25. But yes, their team will suffer in game week 25. And you may just say, look, I'm not going to turn Mitoma into Andreas Pereira just because I can get 2 points in game week 25. It's fair enough. It's people's style. But I think for people now, because of the way the doubles have shaped up, would you rather go Mitoma or Bruno Fernandes? Obviously, you go Bruno Fernandes for 2 games.
Yeah.
Would you rather go Mitoma or Mahrez? Of course, you go Mahrez. Or in your case, maybe an Ake or somebody, whoever plays the double. It's just very difficult to do that. And when you add that you need to take a hit and you'll have to remove a player who's playing in 25, so you're actually adding another 2 points to the hit. So it's a 6-point hit for Mitoma. It's hard.
Yeah, it is. And it's everybody's obviously thinking about it. Like, for instance, this week he got 10 points. But you've got to think about the fact that he's got 10 points. But what did your player get? And then it's not just a clear 10 points, is it? And that's the way of thinking about it too. I just don't get me wrong. He's a great player, and the goals he's scoring are fantastic as well. But I feel much better going after game week 25. If he's still doing it or he's still showing those flashes, get him then in for 26, 27 when he's got those doubles. Lovely. And he's so cheap, he's still going to be a bargain, even when he's 6 million, 6.1 million, whatever it is. So, we're of the same opinion, Pras. I like it. You're better than the other guy that's on here most weeks.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. What rank is he again?
I don't know. I don't even remember his name. Right. We've got about 30 people in the chat. It's a Thursday night. It's quiet tonight, isn't it? Chuck in your questions. This is the perfect time. You've got me and Pras, the GOAT of FPL, and Pras, both here answering your questions. There's only 30 of you. You're almost guaranteed to get your question answered. There was somebody earlier, CS Smith says, hi guys, what do you think of here we go. Ake, Bruno and Nketiah in for Trent, Almiron and Martial. This would put me on to 3 City and 3 United. So Ake, Bruno and Nketiah, I'm assuming it would be for a -4. I hope not a -8. For Trent, Almiron and Martial.
I don't hate it, even though I think Martial is okay for like 100 minutes or 90 minutes over the 2 games. But I think in this particular case, Trent is close to useless at the moment. And Almiron is a blanker. Yeah, if it's for a -4, it's not bad.
Well, you're getting Ake could have 2. So you're getting 3 fixtures, 3 fixtures, 3 fixtures. Tops. Trent 1, Almiron 1. Trent 2, Almiron 2, Martial kind of 1.5 maybe. Yeah, it's not bad, is it? And it is for a -4. Sorry, he said. So
perfect, go for it.
I don't think that's too bad. Lynn's in the chat. Hello. Any going for Messi B-Day this week? I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means?
No. For
For
Messi's birthday. What is this?
I have no idea. When I read it, I was hoping like it was a player that signed on transfer day or something, and you were like, "Oh yeah, I know who that is." No.
Okay. No, I didn't get the question.
No idea. Roger says, "Is this a weekly stream? Love it." It's a weekly stream with me and Mark. It's not a weekly stream with me and Pras. But you never know. You never know. Yeah. If Mark's overall rank doesn't reach 3 million,
if he doesn't qualify next season.
Exactly. Great and the good. Right. Jay Hamilton says, I'm still stuck on the triple captaincy. Is Rashford on pens?
I'm going to say no, because my base case is still that Bruno is on pens. But Bruno is a very nice guy. He doesn't really care about himself, really unselfish. So if Rashford picks up the ball, Bruno's not going to say, hey, can I have the ball? So it's as simple as that. He's just, and the fact that Rashford's really hungry at the moment, there's a good chance that Rashford takes it. But I think if it's a 1-1 game and it's 70th minute, then I think Bruno takes it. Rashford even gives it to him.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with you there. And I've said this about Bruno all year, is that he is that player that will sacrifice himself so the team wins. Like, does it for Portugal, does it for United, doesn't he? And unfortunately, that's not the ruthless Bruno that we want, is it? You know, we want
Yeah.
him to be taking absolutely everything and not caring about, you know, that kind of stuff. But it is what it is. I think Rashford is, you know, if we get two penalties in those games, there's every chance he takes one of them or even two of them. But
Yeah.
it's not guaranteed, is it? I don't think we just haven't
Not
had any
guaranteed at all.
penalties.
But I can say with some certainty, if Rashford scored a brace and they get a penalty, Bruno's going to let him take it,
Yeah,
100%. So
yeah,
that we
definitely.
can say.
Yeah. Up says, hi guys, planning Cucurella and Cancelo to two Man United defenders. What do you think? Ooh.
They both are going to blank as well. It's not enough upside, but clearly then he doesn't have Shaw. So I think getting
Yeah.
Shaw for Cancelo makes absolute sense. But then for that second spot, you need to really think about, do you need Martinez or can you just go straight to Ake? It's a little bit of a team dependent question.
Yeah.
I don't think double defense needs another transfer. Maybe you can just skip.
It's tough with defenders, isn't it? Because all the defenders I want blank. So
Yeah.
it is quite tough. Like, I mean, I say all the defenders. Newcastle are the main ones, aren't they? And if you wanted to go for a Stupinan or something like that, but it is a tough one. I think I agree with you. I think I just downgrade as much as possible, knowing that I've got three that I want to play most of the weeks. It's
Yeah.
such a shit. I've got Patterson. Obviously, he's 3.9 now, but if he's back fit, he could double when he plays in the blank. It's quite nice.
Face for Sean Dyche. That
Yeah.
the whole. I don't know if you owned Loughton in that double game week. Was it Loughton? It was,
No,
right? Who scored that
I
worldie?
went with Ben Mee, and
I
he
had
got a
Loughton.
concussion in the first game, didn't he?
That's FPL variance for you.
Yes. I went for the more expensive one with the higher XGI going into that game, and then Lowton scored. It's only the second goal he's ever scored, and
In
it was a
his life.
screamer, wasn't
And
it?
he's not scored since. Or maybe he scored one.
Disgusting. Akim says, with blank game week 25 coming up, do you think we need 11 players for game week 25 or less? If less, how many? Or should we even consider free hitting?
So I don't think a number matters. This always comes up during double game weeks. How many doublers should we have? How many players should we have in a blank? What matters is, do you have the big guys covered? So if you're missing some really big important players that others might have, you need to have the right Man City, you need to have the right Arsenal. So that already
Mm-hmm.
gets you the right six. And then you need to focus on what else is propping up that team. So I don't think there's no magic number. I mean, if, for example, people who have Mitoma right now, I would say the tolerance for having a lower number is fine because you will
Yeah.
have to carry Mitoma. You're not going to sell him because he could double after. So you will have to basically bench Rashford, Trippier, Shaw, Mitoma. Maybe you sell Shaw. So the threshold for those guys is maybe a little lower. You can end up with 9, but I don't want to give a magic number. I think it's
Yeah.
about who you have in quality.
And we're all going to have the captain as well, aren't we? That's the
Right.
other thing. Like, so that's usually a big swing. Like before, sometimes it's been like, some big teams. Some big teams blank, and so you've got to think about your captaincy, whereas none of us will. So it seems fine there as well.
I know who everyone will start to get for their defender. It'll be Reece James because he'll be fit.
Yeah.
It'll be game week 25. He has a game, and then he has a game
No,
week 28 fixture as well. Reece
no,
James.
no, never again.
He's what is it? 3 weeks away? A month away? Game week
Oh
25? Yeah, you never know.
no, no. Um, Up says, why no Wan-Bissaka?
So Dallo is back in training today. So I think it's very risky now.
Yeah. C. Smith, last one then says, when would you plan to get Kane back, Pras? Andy, do you plan to get him after game week 23?
I don't like losing Kane. So it's, I talked about it yesterday in terms of my moves. So let's say after game week 23's double, Kane is absolutely smashing it. I don't, discount a move of Mahrez and Mitrovic back to Kane and a Mitoma, for example, or something like that. So I don't think you can say that I don't have a route back to Kane. But the fact that he's blanking in 28, the closer you get to 28, the harder it'll be to convince yourself to go back to a Kane.
Yeah.
I'm just going to wait it out till he plays Chelsea, which is in game week 25, and then think about it.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to work it out. I was trying to work this out the other day about how my funds are going to be moving around, but it could be that I have just Haaland and Kane up top. So I'd eventually move Tony or Mitrovic down to like a Ferguson, whoever it is,
Right.
or a Nonto, and then try and move up that money because obviously Bruno would go down to Saka. and I'd be freeing up funds all over the place to try and move back up to Kane. And I feel like eventually you would want to have Kane, but like you said, the closer you get to 28, the less you're going to want to do it, aren't you?
Absolutely. And you see,
Yeah.
the problem with having three premiums is it restricts your maneuverability in the other slots. And so because we're going to have some doubles trickling in, Brighton might get it, Liverpool might get it. It'll restrict you if you have these three premiums. This is what I think, by releasing money either through De Bruyne or through Kane. If De Bruyne didn't have a double, we won't even have this discussion. Kane would stay.
Yeah.
De Bruyne would be the one who goes. Then you have these funds to roll around. You
Sorry, we lost you for a bit there.
Oh, did you? Sorry. So I said two premiums could be more optimal because you have that maneuverability.
Yeah, no, lovely stuff. Right, thank you very much for your questions. Like I said, on a Thursday night, I think we peaked about 30 there, which is lovely. But like I said, for a Thursday night, I'm not that surprised. Thank you so much if you have joined us, though. Sometimes it's nice to have these little intimate ones rather than lots of people in the chat.
Absolutely. We should just carry on the Zoom chat for, after this.
Yeah, exactly. Pras, thank you so much for joining us, mate.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this.
Yeah, no, thank you. And you never know. Like I said, if Mark doesn't buck his ideas up, we'll have you on a bit more often, mate. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Good luck. Remember, the deadline is tomorrow. Fulham versus Chelsea, I believe. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.